President Taiwan is leaving office after 8 years. Her vice president, Lai Ching-te, will be taking the reins. He's been a vocal supporter of Taiwan independence in the past, which could lead to a change in the cross-strait status quo once he takes office.
I think there's a bit of a boogeyman in DC of this idea that if Lai becomes president, then the next day there will be total chaos and you'll have pro-independence people running Taiwan, and that's just not true.
Taiwanese independence was once a radical concept with zealous supporters, but that concept has changed over time. Lai's rise to presidency is a good example of how that stance has changed. This is Lai Ching-te explained.
您在当行政院长的时候说过，您是务实的台独主义者。那我想要请问，
台独工作者。
哦，是。
A worker for Taiwanese independence. That's how Lai Ching-te once described himself. It's a statement that colored his campaign for president and has given China, which claims Taiwan as its own territory, reason to label him a dangerous separatist and troublemaker. But how did he get here? Lai began his career as a doctor, only turning to politics at age 35. He started off as a volunteer for the Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, organizing rallies. Not long after, he entered politics full-time and hasn't looked back.
2024年写了一件，也不是战争与和平的选择，而是民主与专制的抉择。
Lai was a vocal supporter of Taiwan's formal independence from China right from the start of his political career. But that stance has changed with time as his political career took off, rising to the rank of premier, the head of the country's cabinet, then vice president, and now president-elect.
Lai knew that to get the presidency, he does have to be much more moderate on cross-strait relations.
That change didn't come easily. Back in 2019, some in the DPP who hoped to push harder for Taiwan's independence wanted someone with a stronger approach than President Tsai Ing-wen. They didn't hesitate to tap Lai.
For a lot of Deep Green supporters, they've always favored Lai, especially when we think back to, say, the 2019 primary in the DPP where Lai Ching-te challenged Tsai for the presidency. A lot of Deep Green voters were more supportive of Lai than Tsai because they saw him as more pro-independence than Tsai. That reputation has kind of followed him, even though ever since Lai became Tsai's premier, and even as vice president.
He ran against the incumbent Tsai in the party primary after her first term, but he lost that bid, largely by failing to get the support of the young voters.
The progressive young people that really backed Tsai after the 2014 Sunflower Movement and were a major catalyst in her election.
But in the end, Tsai decided to call on Lai to serve as her VP instead and help reunite the DPP. As 4 years went by, Lai took on the mantle to run for president.
今天我非常荣幸能够获得民进党的提名，参选2024总统大选。
The attacks on Lai's presidential campaign from both opposition parties largely centered around his history of staunch support for Taiwanese independence.
你嘛是支持台独，所以你认为有法度和对我讲，你不可能嘛？大陆是反台独嘛，你是支持台独嘛？
你说你是务实的台独工作者，现在美国政府已经明确表示，美国政府不支持台独。请问你如何务实的推动台独？
The U.S., Taiwan's biggest unofficial backer, must constantly walk a fine line on the country's international status. It strongly rejects any use of force or coercion by China to change the status quo of de facto independence for Taiwan.
But the other side of that policy from the United States' perspective is to also stop Taiwan from unilaterally declaring independence, which is something that many in DC fear would happen under a Lai presidency.
Despite concerns about his stance on cross-strait relations, the people of Taiwan chose Lai in January's election, giving him 40% of the vote in a three-way race. In his victory speech, he stressed the need for peace and communication.
这场选战让世界看到台湾人民对民主的坚持，两岸之间对话交流才能降低风险。
Despite his win, the election was not the home run that DPP had hoped for, with the party losing their 8-year majority in the legislature.
国会的选举不如预期，我们还是要检讨反省，必须要把原因找出来，继续深耕。我们并不完美，但我们一定要做最能 回应民意的政党。
All eyes are now on Lai as he enters his first term in office and gives his DPP a historic third term in power.